Hey everyone, feeling a little wiped out lately, like you're dragging even when you think you're doing everything right. Stick around because today we're doing a deep dive on fatigue.
And we had to go to the expert for this one.
Of course, we're looking at a super interesting YouTube video by Dr. Mike Hansen. I mean, the guy went through medical residency, so he knows a thing or two about exhaustion.
Yeah, and he actually breaks down fatigue into these 6 surprising energy vampires, these like sneaky habits or conditions that just drain our energy without us even realizing.
Okay, let's hear it. What's number one?
Well, first up is sleep. I mean, no big surprise there, right? But it's not just about how much you sleep, it's about how well you sleep.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Like I can sleep for 8 hours, but if I'm tossing and turning all night, I still wake up exhausted.
Exactly. And there's a biological reason for that.
Yeah.
So when we experience poor sleep, it really messes with our cortisol levels and promotes inflammation.
Cortisol, that's that fight or flight hormone, right?
Exactly. And when it's constantly elevated due to poor sleep, it leads to all these cascading effects, like
Mm.
it reduces ATP production, increases inflammation. Basically, our cells just aren't getting the energy they need to function well.
So it's not just about feeling mentally groggy, it's actually impacting our cells' ability to produce
Right.
energy. So then how can we improve our sleep quality? Dr. Mike talks a lot about something called sleep hygiene, right?
Yeah, he does. He dives into some really specific strategies like, did you know that the blue light emitted from our phones and laptops can actually suppress melatonin production?
Yeah, the hormone that regulates our sleep cycle. I think I've heard about that before.
So one tip is to avoid electronics for at least like an hour before bed.
Oh,
And then creating a consistent sleep schedule is super crucial too. Our bodies really thrive on routine, and if our sleep patterns are all over the place, it can totally disrupt our circadian rhythm.
so even if we're getting enough hours, but they're all at different times, it's still going to mess with our energy levels.
For sure. It's all about syncing our internal clock with the natural rhythms of day and night. Now, there's another thing related to sleep that can really impact energy levels, which is sleep apnea.
Oh, right, sleep apnea, where your breathing repeatedly stops and starts during sleep.
Exactly. And those dips in blood oxygen can further reduce ATP production, which, leaves you feeling exhausted during the day. If you suspect you might have sleep apnea, definitely talk to your doctor about it.
Okay, so getting enough quality sleep is crucial. What's the next energy vampire?
Well, this one might seem a little counterintuitive, but it's inactivity.
Wait, so you're saying that not moving is what's making me tired?
In a way, yeah. Our muscles are full of mitochondria, those tiny powerhouses that generate energy. And when we're inactive, our muscles weaken, which means we essentially have fewer mitochondria working.
So fewer mitochondria means less energy production overall, like even when I'm not exercising.
Exactly. And it gets even more interesting. When we exercise regularly, especially structured workouts, our muscles get better at using energy. They literally get better at making and using ATP.
So it's like a long-term investment. You might feel tired in the moment, but you're actually training your body to have more energy in the long run.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And the benefits actually go beyond our muscles. Exercise also releases all those feel-good brain chemicals that boost mood and mental energy. So it's a win-win.
Awesome. All right, I'm starting to see how these energy vampires are all interconnected, right? Like lack of sleep leads to inactivity, which could lead to, oh, speaking of feeling mentally drained, what about stress? I feel like that's a huge energy zapper.
Yeah, for sure. Chronic stress is a constant drain on our energy reserves. And remember cortisol, that fight or flight hormone we were just talking about. Well, when we're stressed, our bodies make even more cortisol. And like we said, that messes with ATP production and makes inflammation worse. So stress is like a double whammy. It directly impacts our energy production on a cellular level and makes us feel mentally exhausted.
Exactly. It's a vicious cycle. But Dr. Mike has a bunch of techniques for managing stress. Things like exercise, yoga, mindfulness, even just taking a few minutes each day to focus on your breath.
Yeah, I've heard that even just a few minutes of deep breathing can make a big difference.
Absolutely. Stress management is so important for our well-being, and that includes our energy levels.
Yeah.
Now let's talk about something else that has a big impact on how energized we feel, which is our diet.
Yeah, food is fuel, right? So I guess it
Yeah.
makes sense that what we eat would affect our energy.
It totally does. Think of it like if you have a poor diet, you can end up with vitamin deficiencies and mineral deficiencies, which can really mess with ATP production.
Right, like trying to run a car on an empty tank.
Exactly. So what kinds of foods are the worst for our energy levels? Well,
Hmm.
processed foods and all that added sugar are definitely big culprits. They cause inflammation and lead to those blood sugar spikes and crashes that just leave us feeling totally wiped.
Oh, yeah, those sugar highs and lows are no joke. They'll definitely take it out of you.
So what should we be eating to actually boost our energy levels?
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Mike really emphasizes whole, nutrient-rich foods like vegetables, fruits, whole grains,
Okay.
lean proteins like fish and chicken, beans and lentils.
Got it.
And you can't forget about healthy fats, things like nuts, seeds, and avocados.
So it sounds like it's all about giving our bodies the right stuff to create energy efficiently.
Yeah, exactly.
Makes sense. Yeah.
And another point he brought up that I thought was really helpful is eating smaller, more frequent meals throughout the day.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, because that can actually help keep your blood sugar levels stable and prevent those big energy dips.
That's a good tip. I definitely notice a difference when I let myself go hours without eating. Then I'm like, why am I so tired?
Yeah, exactly. Speaking of things we consume, let's talk about another energy vampire that might surprise you, and that's our fluid choices.
Wait, what we drink can affect our energy levels too.
It can, yeah.
I mean, I know staying hydrated is important, but I figured as long as we were drinking enough, it didn't really matter what it was.
Well, hydration is definitely key, but some drinks can actually make you dehydrated, and dehydration equals fatigue.
Okay, so to start, I'm guessing not drinking enough water is bad, right? How much should we be aiming for each day?
Yeah, not drinking enough water is definitely a problem. Most adults should be drinking about 8 glasses a day.
Okay.
More if you're exercising or if it's hot out, obviously.
Right.
But here's a surprising one. Did you know that sugary drinks like soda and juice can actually dehydrate you?
Really? I always thought those would be hydrating since they're liquids.
I know, right? It seems counterintuitive, but all that sugar can actually stress out your kidneys, which makes you pee more and lose more fluids.
Wow. Okay.
And then, of course, there's caffeine and alcohol.
Oh, yeah, right.
They might give you a temporary boost, but they're ultimately dehydrating too.
So even though we're drinking something, we might actually be losing more fluid than we're taking in.
Yep, that's exactly right. Both caffeine and alcohol can suppress a hormone called ADH, which helps our bodies hold on to water. So you end up peeing more frequently and getting dehydrated, which can make you feel super tired.
Wow, I never realized how sneaky those drinks could be when it comes to hydration.
They are.
This whole conversation has really highlighted how everything is connected when it comes to energy levels.
It really is. Sleep, activity, stress, diet, hydration,
Yeah.
it all plays a role. And this brings us to our final energy vampire. And it's one that might surprise you, which is social isolation.
So wait, are you saying that being around people can actually boost our energy?
Believe it or not, it's true.
Huh.
Social connection is actually a powerful energy booster. Studies show that social isolation is linked to depression, which we know is linked to fatigue.
So like nurturing those relationships with friends and family or even joining clubs and groups can help combat fatigue. It's not just about feeling happier.
Right, and it even impacts our energy on a physical level. When we feel connected and supported, it just boosts our mood, reduces our stress, and can even motivate us to engage in healthier habits.
So it's like a positive feedback loop.
Yeah, it's like a positive upward spiral.
I love it.
Yeah.
This whole deep dive has honestly been full of aha moments for me.
Yeah.
So to recap, we've got those 6 energy vampires to watch out for. Poor sleep, inactivity, chronic stress, a poor diet, dehydration, and social isolation.
And while it might seem like a lot to tackle at once, Dr. Mike says even small changes can make a big difference.
Yeah. And for me, honestly, the connection between social isolation and fatigue was a real eye-opener.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. It's so easy to forget about those connections when we're just caught up in the day-to-day.
It is. It's like you forget that we're not just physical beings, we're social creatures too.
Right.
And those connections really impact our well-being and how much energy we have. Exactly.
Yeah.
So what can people listening do, like right now, to start fighting back against these energy vampires? What's one little thing they could try today?
Well, I think the most important thing is just to be aware of those energy vampires that are lurking in our lives. Once we're aware of them, we can start making different choices, like conscious choices to combat them.
Okay.
So maybe like set a reminder on your phone to drink more water,
Oh, yeah.
or schedule a walk with a friend, or, put your phone away an hour before bed.
Those are good ones. Those are things anyone can try.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
hey, it's progress, not perfection, right?
Right.
Like, don't get discouraged if you mess up or have a day where you're just totally wiped out.
Oh, for sure.
We all have those days.
We all do.
The important thing is to just keep learning and adjusting and, taking care of ourselves.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, if you are struggling with fatigue that just won't quit,
Right.
don't hesitate to talk to your doctor.
That's a good point. Sometimes it's our body trying to tell us something's wrong. Okay, so before we go, Dr. Mike mentioned something else at the end of his video that I think our listeners will really like.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
He's planning a whole video series on sleep.
Oh, wow.
He knows how important it is for our health and energy, so he's going to really dive deep into all the science of sleep.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that.
Me too.
Yeah,
We'll have to check those out and tell everyone what we learned.
definitely.
So until then, we hope you all have a better understanding of those sneaky energy vampires that might be stealing your energy.
Yeah,
And remember, even small changes can make a big difference.
exactly.
So pick one thing and try it today and celebrate those little victories.
And as always, keep diving deep, keep exploring, and keep learning. There's so much out there to discover.
Absolutely. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive.
Thanks, everyone.
We'll see you next time. Stay curious, stay energized, and keep those energy vampires away.